This is Eliyahu Shir from Chesed Ve'emet, www.lovingkindness.co. I welcome you to another shiur. We're learning about the work written by the Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Lutzato, called the Derech Hashem. The Derech Hashem, the way of God, is a work which discusses all of Torah, from the basic principles of how the Torah works and the basic principles of being Jewish until the deepest secrets of the Torah. Everything is included in it. It is such a comprehensive and clearly explained work. It is really worthwhile for everybody to learn from beginning to end. And we're looking at chapter 3 of the Ramchal's work, Derech Hashem, which deals with the secrets of the soul. And last week we concluded where we learned that one section of the soul, the godly soul, is a section that is connected with God in such a way that we said at the end of point number 5 over here, that sometimes what happens to a person is that what afal gav de iulo chazeh, even though a person doesn't see something, mazle chazeh, his mazal sees it. And what the Ramchal is teaching us over here is that sometimes what happens to a person is that he experiences something in his life that even though he can't put his finger on it, he doesn't know what's really happening, he has a sense that something is happening for a particular purpose. And we call this his mazal. We call it his mazal that is somehow interacting with the spiritual world and is telling him a message so that he can understand it in the physical world. And what God is actually doing here is he's allowing the soul to experience something in the spiritual world and relay the message to him, the person, in the physical world. Shekavar higia ha'inyan lenefesh hazot, that already this matter comes to his soul, ha'elyoina, to the supernal soul, v'lo higia mimena ela machshava, and it turns out that the message doesn't yet come into his thought, v'haseichel, and into his intelligence, tziu shalem, whereby he gets a full impression to know exactly what it is that he's experiencing at that point in time. Ela ketzatz hitorerut v'lo yoter, but rather what happens is there's a kind of a spark of light that a person gets an insight into, and he kind of thinks, I know that this is happening for a reason, or I know I'm experiencing this for a reason, or I know something about something, even though I can't put my finger on it. What's happening here is that the godly soul is interacting with the person in a way that lets him know something, even though he can't identify it fully. We come to point number 6. You can see over here, we're looking at safaria.org. It's a free service. Check it out sometime. If you don't know about it, you can learn all of Torah. There's so much Torah that one can learn over here. There is in the Hebrew, you'll find, and many parts of it are translated into English, so it's easy to work with. And we're looking at point number 6 in the Derech Hashem here. V'ulam, however, ra'ata ha'chokhmah ha'elyona, the supernal wisdom saw to it. L'chalek hazman lebeit chalakim, God has divided life into 2 portions. Ha'echad, one portion of life is lepoel habriot, which is the action of creations, of all of creatures. Va'echad limnuchatam, and one portion of life for these creatures that he's created is for their rest. One is in order to do their activities, lepoel habriot, and one is limnuchatam, for their rest. Now here's an interesting question. Why did God create us that half of the day, or perhaps more of the day, is spent in doing activities, and part of the day, or the night in other words, is for resting? Why didn't God create us in a way that we could just simply exist like fish with our eyes open all the time and be active until the day that we die? Why did God create us in a way that we are involved in activity for part of the day, and yet for part of the day, which means the night time, it's a time of rest where we close our eyes and we seem to disappear somewhere where we don't really know where we're going to? What is the point of that? V'hayinu, and this means to say, hayom v'halayla, God has created life as a day and a night. Ki hayom huzman ha'ma'aseh, that the day is made for action, v'halayla zman ha'menucha, and the night time is made for rest. V'sham b'teva ha Bal Chayim sheyeshanu kedei shetehei lehem uleruchotehem menucha me'amalam, because over there it's the nature of creatures that they should sleep in order that they should have and they'll be for them, and in order for their spirits, that they will have rest from all of their toil. Uba'oto hazman, and at that time itself, yachalif mitziyotam, there's going to be a renewal of their strength, koach b'chol chalakav, of its strength throughout all of its parts, hagufim, all of its physical parts, v'hanefshayim, and for all of its spiritual parts, v'yashuvu chodeshim chadashim lebekarim, and then they will return renewed in the morning, la'avodatam, to serve for their service, kabrishona, as they were in the beginning. The Ramchal is teaching us that God has divided up the day into two sections. One where we are active, we have to do things, we have to serve God in all sorts of ways. And another part of the day where we are passive. We close our eyes, we drift off into sleep. And what is it all about? Why did God do this to us? V'hinei, behold, b'yoysa adam yashein, when a person is sleeping, koichoisav nachot, all of his powers start to rest. V'hargashotav shkatot, and all of his feelings become quietened down. V'haskalato gamke nacha, and his intelligence, his brain, also rests. V'shoketet, and it's quiet. V'rak hadimyon levado yifal, and only his imaginative facility, only his imaginative faculty exists. Yifal, and carries on working. V'yelech v'yidmeh v'yitzaer, and what happens when a person is sleeping is that his imaginative faculty goes off and starts to imagine all sorts of images. In Yanim Kafi Mashi is the main law, all sorts of matters that come to him. Misharit Mashinitzayer bo ba'esayikitza, from the remaining of whatever was formed in his mind at the time that he was awake. When he's sleeping, he begins to see things in his mind of what it was that was happening to him while he was awake. Umashe yegia elav min ha'etim va'ashanim ha'olim el ha'moach, and whatever goes up to his brain from all of the different hormones and the different things that go into his mind when his body is working, there are things that go into the brain. Im min halechot hativiot, whether it's through all of these humoruses, that natural humoruses inside the body, ve'im min ha'ma'akalim, and also from his food, v'zeh inyan hachalomot, and this is what dreams are made of. Asher lechol b'nei adam, that exist for all people. When we dream based upon events that have happened to us in our lives, and we dream because of all sorts of substances, hormones, and chemicals that are moving about in the body. All of these things together creates all the images that we see in our mind's eye, in the brain, as we sleep. And God has created us so that we would experience day, where we're involved in all sorts of activities, and nighttime when we dream, because God wants us to experience something through the dreams that we have. V'amnam, however, Chakak Haboda Yisparach, Hashem engraved, moreover, Shehanefesh ha'elyoina, that the supernal soul, Shezacharni, that we spoke about, Tinatek Katzat, is going to be disconnected a little bit, Ba'oto Hazman, at that time period, Mikishoreha Hagufaniyim, from all of its connections with the physical body, V'chalakim Mimena, and from all of its parts, Tahayinu, which means to say, Ad Haruach, up until the second level of the soul, Yiyu Mitalim, or Misnatkim, they are going to ascend and they're going to disconnect, Min Haguf, from the body. V'raka Chelek Harishon, and only the first section, Shehu HaNefesh, which is the soul, Yeh Nishar Im HaNefesh HaTachtona, will remain behind with the lower level soul. As we discussed before, there are different levels to the soul. There's a higher level to the soul and a lower level to the soul. And what's going to happen here when we sleep is that the higher levels of the soul leave the body and go upwards, and the lower levels of the soul remain with the body. V'hine, and behold, ha'chalakim ha'menutakim, these portions of the soul that disconnect, yeshotetu bameh shehunach lahem, they are going to fly about in that particular place where they have been permitted, allowed to go to. V'yelahem esek ve'inyan im haruchniyim, says the Ramchal, that these higher levels of the soul, when we go to sleep, are given the freedom to occupy themselves with all of the spiritual things that take place in the higher worlds. Im Pegidim, Pegidei Teva, with all sorts of angels that deal with the forces of nature in this world. Or Im Malachim, Mi Malachei Kabbalah, or with the angels that deal with the secrets of Torah. Or Im Hashedim, or even with the demons, according to wherever it goes to, for whatever reason, it happens to be flying about in these areas. And sometimes, the whole matter of what's going on there is drawn down. In everything that it conceives of, while the soul has separated from the body, and the higher levels are flying about and are attaching themselves to all sorts of higher forces, then at a certain point in time, if it becomes permitted, what happens is the messages that the higher levels of the soul acquire in these superior worlds are then transmitted from this high level until the lower level soul. And then there's awakened from this imaginative faculty. And it begins to form all sorts of pictures in the person's head according to its ways. And already it's possible that the matter that it conceives, that it attains, that it grasps, amiti, could be true, or kozev, or it could be false. This means to say, when the soul has separated itself from the body and it's flying about, it attaches itself to all sorts of forces above. And what happens is some of these forces teach the soul secrets and truthful things, and sometimes it attaches itself to all sorts of forces which are negative, in which case it hears messages which are false, which are incorrect. Kafiha imtsai, according to its means, that according to what it conceives of, what it attains, the zeha inyan atzmo, and this matter itself, yemashech ad hadimyon, it will be drawn down into the imaginative faculty, and it's going to be forming a picture as is its ways. Lifamim, sometimes the picture will be bilbul gadol, in a very confused manner, and with a big mix-up, minatziorim hanifsadim, with all sorts of pictures that are a waste, hanim shachim mina edim, and they come about through all of these things inside the body. V'lifamin, and sometimes, b'yoter birur, the message becomes a lot more clear. Ukavar higia la'adam hoda'a v'giloi ozen, and sometimes it can come about that a person gets a message and he can hear the message al yedei imtzai hazeh, through this means, mimashi atid lavo alav, that what can happen to him in the future. V'yikrezo b'gezeiraso yisparach, and all of this comes about through the decree of Hashem. Sheyodeya hadavar l'neshama, that he makes this thing known to the soul, al yedei echad min hamishatim, through one of the servants, ma'eze min shehiyeh, whatever he comes from, v'yimashech hadavar ad hanefesh, and the whole story, the whole image, this whole prophecy basically that the soul is experiencing in the world above, gets transmitted to the soul, v'yitztayer b'dimyon b'situm, and then it gets formed into an image. Either it's a concealed image, or b'biruro, or it becomes very clear. According to what the supernal wisdom decrees as permissible for the person to understand. So already the Ramchal has told us some great secrets here. He wants us to know that there's a reason why God has separated this world for all of us into a day and night period. The day period that we experience is for the sake of activities. We need to put tefillin on, we need to keep Shabbos, we need to eat kosher, we need to fulfill the laws of not charging a Jew interest, we need to fulfill the laws of family purity and get married and have children and all the different mitzvot that are involved. And we do this all while we're alert and while we're awake. These are the daytime hours. But then what God does is he gives us night hours, and he allows us to sleep in a way that the soul separates itself from the body. When it separates itself, it is allowed permission, is given permission to experience all sorts of things as they exist in the worlds above. When we leave this world, we are going to leave behind the physical body and we are going to enter into those spiritual worlds. The soul never dies. So when we die physically, the soul is going to enter those worlds, which when we sleep now, we're able to access on a much lower level. So the soul level dislocates, disconnects, and part of the soul goes up and part of the soul remains below. But the soul levels are constantly connected with each other. And the levels that have ascended will interact with all sorts of forces above. Some of the forces are true and good, and some of the forces above are negative and bad. If the soul interacts with these negative forces, it will transmit messages to the soul below in the physical body, which are negative, and the person will experience negativity through all of these images that it will experience. On the other hand, the soul could also be seeing positive things, good things, through these forces which transmit these messages, which ultimately can come down into the lower level soul and then ultimately reveal itself to the person in all sorts of physical manners through the images that he is going to see in his dreams. And to such a degree, says the Ramchal, he could even know future events. And through this thing, Ne'emar, it says over there, Bechalom chizayon laila, in a dream, in an image, in a vision of the night, then God will make himself known to this person. Al zigale ozen anashim, then a person's ears become opened up. Nimtza klal, and we find a rule, hachalomot tzirei hadimyon, that these dreams, the images that come about, mitzad atzmo, come from either himself, or mitzad ma, or from another side, sheteorerehu haneshama, where the soul awakens him, lefi ma shetasig, according to what he will grasp. V'ulam, and it's possible, ein hapoel b'chol ele, ela echad min hakochot haruchniyim shemodil neshama. It can be that this action, what we're having over here, is only one of the spiritual forces that make it known to the soul. V'hanashama mamshekes ad hadimyon, and then the soul draws it down into the imagination, kamo shekasavnu, as we read above, as we spoke about above, as we said above. V'im hakoach hahu mimasharte hakodesh, and if this strength comes from these holy servants, yeh davar emet, then what we're seeing will come true. V'im mikoichos hahefech, and if it's from the other powers, yeh davar kozev, it will be false. V'hu ma shekatuv, and that's what's written in Gemara Brachot, where it says over there, kan al yedei malach, kan al yedei shade. This dream comes from an angel, this dream comes from a demon. Ubekulam, and with all of them, yesh ta'aruvot shel hatziorim, there is a mixture of all of these images, hanifsadim, which are just lost along the way, shel hadimyon, through the imagination, atzmo itself. V'hu ma shekotov, and that's what's written, Efshar lechalom v'lo devarim b'teilim. It is impossible to have a dream without there being all sorts of nonsense within the dream itself. Ach, od chalomot acherim, but other dreams, nimtzaim, can be found, v'heim chalomot hanevuah, and these are the dreams of prophecy. U'nevarer inyana b'fnei atzmo b'siyata, or b'perek atzmo b'siyata dishmaya. And we're going to describe more about these prophetic dreams that a person can have in a later chapter. The Ramchal is going to teach us this. And we have to remember that the Ramchal is an expert in the revealed Torah. He's an expert in the hidden Torah. And in fact, the Derech Hashem is by no means a Kabbalistic book. In fact, it is a straightforward book teaching us about the fullness of the Torah. Yet within it, he teaches us all of these concepts as an introduction that we should know what the secrets of the Torah are all about. So we're going to stop over here. We finished number 6 of the Derech Hashem here, point number 6 on chapter 1 of part 3. And I thank you again for joining me. This is Eliyahu Sher from www.lovingkindness.co at Chesed Ve'emet. And of course, I ask you, if you've enjoyed this shiur, please subscribe to my channel, please click on the bell to be notified of future shiurim. And as I always say, if you want to keep in touch with me, go to my site, send me an email. I would love to be in touch with you. I thank you for joining me, and I look forward to joining you at another time again for another shiur. Everything of the best. See you soon.